go back to that. But like I said, I'll just play around with these until I get a nice look. Even take the beauty back over the top. Yeah, I really love that. That just sings there, doesn't it? And you get depth. Oh, and spec is another one. I didn't render that on the other camera, but yeah, so vaguely, you've got... I'll just turn that off onto direct only. Very handy. You might use that on an ad or a screen. But it can be handy just at this stage for, picking up little highlights, especially when you're texturing underneath. And the ID passes on there. So, I mean, just roughly great little passes. Now, any other renderer is generally the same. I mean, ambient occlusion, depth, and diffuse are all very similar. Bounce light should be, indirect. You should have. As I said, they're just the main ones I use. There are plenty of other render outputs you can use. You've got vectors, specular reflections. I mean, without any texturing in 3D, you don't actually need any of these. More illumination stuff. Now, if you've got a lot of lights, that can be very helpful. And subsurface, if you had... I mean, a lot of these I would use if I had some texturing I did in Modo, but I haven't. I mean, this is all just one shader, so there's no point. Obviously, alphas, if you need, can be very useful if you, maybe doing an outdoor scene or something. You'll have a sky. I mean, you get that out of your Surface ID, but they're the main ones. I mean, Maya's got even more, or Mentore's got even more that you can use. A lot of utility stuff like vectors can be very helpful. But yeah, I mean, you just use what you need to start with, and so I've got this great base now. I could start texturing it up. Okay, so looking at this mat, we'll just start. What I want to start doing is just roughing together some color and texture and paint, just to get an overall feel. I'm going to start with the ground. It's very flat. I probably should have done something a bit more geometry, but that's okay. We can just do something quickly. So what I'm just going to do is just literally kind of start with some kind of grid pattern, so that once we distort it to the perspective, we'll get some perspective lines. It's just the brush has got a little bit of texture to it, so makes it a little nicer than the usual straight line. But just quickly, obviously if I did this in Illustrator I could do it a whole lot quicker, but maybe change it up a bit. And then maybe, I don't know, there's some darker ones on the end or something. Yeah, maybe some thinner ones. Yeah, it's cool to have some kind of something to break it up. At the moment it's all just a bit random, but just something to start with. It's kind of cool. Go back to our angles. Yeah, obviously I can brush any of this out if I don't like it, so. Yeah. copy merged, and paste. So I've done it a lot bigger, just so we can distort it well. So we've got to kind of find the perspective. We've got a few markers to go off, so it shouldn't be too hard. Probably didn't do it anywhere near wide enough, but that's okay. Just dupe it on the other side. As I said, it's really just, get rid of the blank canvas. Start with something. Maybe that can go over. That's probably a bit far. It's good to spend just a little bit of time there trying to get that right. And as I said, look, this is rough as, so there probably should be a little bit of a skew on it. Anyway, put that on, multiply. So, gives us some kind of little pattern, something to start with. Then we use our surface ID mask to just make it ground only. Probably want some of that side. So that looks alright. Feeling it's a bit too green. I might just desat a bit so I can just push a bit of colour into it. There you go, it's better. Maybe it's a little on the dark side. Because I want to multiply my textures over the top. I mean, even though they may be under the depth and the ambient and other passes, I want to be able to multiply things, so it really helps to just have it a little bit brighter. Now, I think I don't like some of these lines. I think they're a bit thick, so I can adjust that. Now, you may notice I use curves for everything, as much as I can. So now I'm just going to kind of, just draw for a bit and see how it looks, find a nice brush. Maybe this line needs to be darker. Oh, it's kind of interesting. Might mask it off at the back a bit. With a softer brush, of course. You do have to fiddle around with brushes a lot. It's just the way it is. You can be a bit more organised and I don't know. Just add something. I don't know. Again, work in layers so you can get rid of it if you don't like it. But it's a good time just to really just start kind of painting in some more colours. You pick up some colours from the scene. So you might, now brush on like 20%, so even less. So I'm yet to find, I guess something I'm really liking, as in, I'm just this stage just trying to find some life to it. I've got a great start with the passes and everything, but it's it's dead. Just needs a bit of life. And you can always go back and clean up this stuff later. Maybe these panels are picking up a little highlights. Maybe they're a bit more depth to them. You can always just do your highlights on a layer and add them. I mean, there's quite a bit that you can. I mean, it's like I said before. I mean, I'll do with a paint over. Painting with light, as I think I've said. But maybe it needs some colour. It's a blue. That's a nice contrast. So fill in some of these kind of empty areas that you might end up putting computer screens in or lights or something. But at this stage, just to get a brush in a bit of colour into your scene. Just get something into it. Nothing wrong with adding a bit of grit. Break everything up. And then you can change that up, invert that. But I'm just doing subtle stuff here. Obviously, just trying to really give it a bit of life now. I'd spend a bit of time doing this. If you're not under any kind of pressure, it's to some degree fairly relaxing. Kind of like painting, Usually you are under a bit of pressure, but it's nice just to kind of sit back and try and give it some form, because as much as you've got form existing, you want to give it life and bring it to life. But you'll find too, if you're brushing underneath, see I was brushing underneath a couple of the passes, you'll never be able to brush a true black. So if you're really trying to outline something, sometimes you'll have to go above everything, just to find out, if what you're doing is working and you're happy with it or not. Maybe I just need to look a bit more at the other shapes that are existing. Try and complement the design. Yeah, but I'll jump around a bit, not liking that, so I'll just move on. Whatever. It's not a big deal. Come back to it. I'm liking the floor. Maybe outline some of these a bit more. Go back here and get a bit of colour onto this podium thing, sail, whatever it is. Maybe that's emitting light. That could be cool. So maybe there's little bits in there. So you can see this segment pass can be kind of difficult to use. Because what I'm after here is basically that section there. So if I can sit here and go, try and find all those, occasionally it can be quicker just to use a quick kind of pen tool. Yeah, but maybe that, as I said, maybe that's a light. Need to layer. Put on add. Give it a blur. Yeah, I like the orange better. But you can see, just playing around, trying to find what colour kind of suits it. It's probably a little big. Maybe it needs to be broken up. So I might add a mask and then pick up some kind of textured brush. Something something with lines or something, a few rays. Again, to see what works. Yeah, might come back to that. Okay, so there's stuff I'm liking here and stuff I'm not. I'm not too sure what to do with this poll. I'm not liking what's happening here. Maybe it needs to be simpler. And I'll do detailed stuff on the ground here, as you would have. Maybe there's control panels and things, doorways or something. Maybe that's all it needs, a doorway, and maybe that could be. There could be a walkway across there. There's